Right.
Hello.
We've done that bit.
Oh, I didn't know what bit you were doing.
Are we doing the whole thing again?
I don't know.
Okay, right. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so we thought we'd do an instructional video, instructional information video.
Yeah, sort of question and answer.
Yeah, I posted a thing on our YouTube channel which basically listed, I think, some of the most popular questions that we've been asked, and then asked people to vote on which ones they thought were, most popular in order of importance. So I think we'll kick off, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we'll start with question 1. Over to you.
How do you get mail when you live on a boat? And that was from Karen H, David Ellis and Tracy Kirby. Right, getting post on the boat has been quite easy. What we do is we use something called post restant.
POSTERESTANTE.
Yeah. And that's at the post office. So what you need to do is go into your local post office where you're going to be on the canal. Ask them if they do post restant, and what that means is free of charge, which I can't believe that's an amazing service.
Very good.
They would take all your post and your parcels, and they would keep them there for you to come in and pick them up. And we tend to go once a week to pick up our post. It's more difficult if you are going to be travelling a lot on the network, so you're going to be moving very frequently and longer spaces.
So basically this wouldn't work for minimalists, would it?
No, they will. They rush around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But what you would have to do is think ahead where you would want your post to be delivered. Contact the local post office in that area, and people can send mail to you. It would just have your name, then post restant, and then the post office address.
Yeah.
And we get all our mail. What we've decided is we'd like to keep the mail going to one particular post office. And the girls all know us in there. You just walk in, they've already got all your post, all your parcels, and I have art materials and canvases delivered there.
And the great news as well is that unlike a house where if somebody comes to deliver something and you're not in, it gets sent back to the local depot. So you have to then go in and collect it and show ID and all the other bits and pieces. With post restant, they take everything.
Yeah.
So it's a 24-hour. No, it's not 24 hours.
No, it's not 24.
Scrub that. It's an all-day service that effectively, if you're not around, they collect your parcel, no matter how big or small, and then you just go and collect it.
Yeah, and our post office is part of a spa, and that's open late at night as well.
Yeah, till 11 o'clock.
They will take the parcels in if they're there, which is a brilliant service. We like to keep it in the same place, and what we do is because we've got a car, we travel back and pick up the post. If we're going to be hundreds of miles away from that post office, we'll just find another post office in that area.
Yeah.
And keep it there for a couple of months.
So post office doesn't really get an awful lot of thanks and congratulations for the services they offer.
Yeah.
I know it was privatised, but when you consider that it's a free service, that's a big thumbs up.
That's a huge thumbs up.
Massive. So.
The only other way you can do it is have a PO box number.
Yeah.
And some people do go that route, but this is free, so why not use it? And it keeps the shops, open as well, because normally you go in and get your post, you might pick up some milk and some bread and things like that, so it's all good news.
You can also, as well, there are online services where you can register, and then what happens is the post gets sent to that address, and they employ somebody to open your post and scan it and send it to you. That's fine if you don't mind people reading your post.
And it is a paid for.
But you have to pay for that service. Yeah. So there we go. So that's how you get your post on a boat.
Yeah. Okay, so the second question is, can you register for a doctor without a fixed address? And the answer is most definitely yes, you can, in theory. The reason why I say in theory is because we haven't tried it yet. Other boaters have tried it and said it works. We are due to try it next week, and so we will let you know how we get on. If you Google what to do if a doctor's surgery won't register you without a fixed address, it will come up with a gypsy-traveller.org website. If you go on there, there is a letter from the Department of Health, Jeremy Hunt.
And what's Jeremy Hunt? He's a former health secretary.
Former health secretary. has done a letter for you. That states GP surgeries cannot refuse to register you without a fixed address. There is one way that they can, and that is if they are allowed to by the NHS to close their books to any new patients because they're already full.
Yeah.
And the way around that is to ask them that question first. Have you closed your books to patients, or are you still taking on patients? And they will give you the answer, can I register? Hopefully, we'll let you know next week how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. So in theory, it should be a very simple thing to do.
Yeah.
And if you ask the question in advance, then it takes away their chance of using it as an excuse if they decide they don't want to register you because you don't have a fixed address.
Yeah.
It's all to do with minority groups, and that everybody should be treated with equality by the NHS, regardless of your gender, your race, your ethnic group. And that includes travellers, includes other minority groups. And Jeremy Hunt's basically tried to encapsulate all of them in this letter that he's written, which has been shared by the gypsytraveller.org site, so that all minority groups can use it if they don't have a fixed address to register with a doctor. So in theory, it's got the weight of the former health secretary behind it.
So we will put the letter in the link, so that you can download it if you need to.
I've also put it as well. If you go to our YouTube page, I'll put a picture of it, but it's in the community tab. So if you go along the top to the community tab, click it, and then scroll down, you'll see the excerpt of the actual letter and what it says. So in theory, you can register for a doctor without a fixed address. Question 3 is, do you worry about crime when you live on a boat? And the answer to that is yes, you do worry about crime when you live on a boat, but then you worry about crime when you live in a house. In the canals, or on the canals, there's fewer people and there's fewer boats, so it's not quite as prevalent, I would say, in your forefront of your mind, but you are more vulnerable. So where you feel less likely to be a victim of crime, you also are acutely aware that you're slightly more vulnerable because you are living on a boat and your belongings sit on the stern or on the bow. So the golden rule, really, if you don't want to be a victim of crime, is to lock away the things you don't want stolen. It's a bit like, if you lived in a house and you had a front garden, would you leave a £500 generator in the front garden, unsecured, unattended? Because the chances of you losing that generator are pretty strong. If you value it, lock it away in your boat. There are security measures you can take, which we can do another video on. But in essence, yes, we do worry about crime on the boat, and we are acutely aware that it's prevalent. It is with us, isn't it? I mean, you do get reports of people going up and down draining tanks of diesel. So Ron Bierman's mentioned that you can get lockable fuel caps. He's one of our viewers, and we have a lockable fuel cap. Yeah. But we've been on the cut now 14 months, and 13 months, and we've not experienced anything. We know people that have, but we've not experienced anything. And it's just part and parcel of modern life, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately. The one good thing about boaters is they do have community pages. So definitely there's a Kennet and Avon Boaters Society Facebook page, and literally as soon as something happens on the canal to do with crime, it'll be put on there. There's another one called Crime on the Cut, right. But the Kennet and Avon Boaters Society tells you all about the Kennet and Avon Canal, and so if something goes, like a generator, which one did go, it seemed a couple of weeks back, the person posted it on there so that everyone was aware, so that if they saw anything suspicious, they could take photos. There's crime reference numbers on there, and they could gather as much information that they needed, and also to be aware of everyone else to just watch what's going on. And it's a bit like a neighbourhood watch out here, isn't it? It's pretty good. Everyone does watch out for each other. The
other thing as well is that obviously if someone's stealing a generator and then they're going along the canal to offer the generator to another canal boat user, it's a bit like warning you that if somebody offered you this generator, not to take it because it's stolen and report it to the police. So it's a good and effective way of keeping tabs on people like that.
Quite often you hear that so many generators have gone missing in the area, and then lo and behold, you go out up on a local buy and sell it page, and there are the generators
Exactly.
there. So
yeah.
okay, so our next question comes from Judy, Paul Swift, and Kevin Rowland, and it's wide beam travel restrictions. Are there any travel restrictions? And yes, there are for a wide beam. On the inland waterways, there's either narrow canals or wide canals, and we can only go on the wide canals.
Now, to demonstrate what we're talking about, we've got some equipment that we need to show you. Some very advanced pieces of equipment. We've got a chopstick, which is a pointy stick for the purposes of this exercise, and we will now adjourn and go to the map room. Okay, this is our map. As you can see, no expense has been spared. It's the Waterways World Route Planning and Boatyard Map of 2017, so it's a year and a bit out of date, but the canal network doesn't really ever change that much. And what we've done is we've highlighted, as you can see, in pink highlighter, lovingly demonstrated by my able assistant, all of the networks that potentially we can take a wide beam boat. And the definition of that is normally by the lock size, isn't it?
It is, and yeah, that you can get 2 wide beams down the canal. All the light blue are all the narrow canals. So you can get a narrowboat on all of the highlighted and the pale blue, but a wide beam can only go on these. We're at the moment just here, and we're on the Kennet and Avon Canal, and we are heading this direction, which is towards the Thames. But we can go up to the Oxford part of the way. We can't do this bit here because it's too narrow, so we'd have to come back down. We can do the Grand Union Canal, but as you see here, which is where we were talking about going to Crick boat shows there, we can't actually get up that stretch there, so this is as near to Crick boat show that we can get. And if you noticed, so this is the south, we can't actually get anywhere to go onto the north, which is this huge network at the top here.
So if we wanted to access the north, what would we need to do?
Well, we can either be put on a truck and literally taken just a few miles. That's the annoying thing. It's not that far. Be from Northampton to Market Harborough, and then we can do all of the top network. Or we could go along the Thames here, past Greenwich, and then out this way, and then we'd have to go round Norfolk, and then in this way. But of course, that's on the sea. I don't know if you want to do that. No,
we'll
see.
We do know of a narrowboat that's done it. There is
a
vlog of a narrowboat that's done it, but it was hairy.
Yeah, I think we will be doing this bit. So this is in the opposite direction to the way we're going at the moment on the K&A, which goes past Bath and Bristol, and this will take you out on the Bristol Channel there, which you do have to have a pilot to navigate the boat up to the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal, but we can only do that bit there because we can't go this bit here, which is a bit of a shame, really, isn't it?
It is, but it's one of the decisions that we have to accept.
Yeah,
because we chose a wide beam boat.
That's it.
Okay, question 5. Do you need a winter mooring? We don't, and we're not fans of winter moorings. There's a great YouTube channel called Flow with Milo, and he's just recently done an episode specifically talking about it, and he answers the question perfectly, so go and check him out. I'll put a link down below. In essence, what he's saying and what I'm saying is that a winter mooring is great if you want to stay somewhere for 4.5 months, but basically what you're doing is you're paying for the CRT to leave you alone, because you don't, in a lot of these mooring spaces, you don't get a lot of facilities. You might not, you might be lucky and get rubbish. but quite often you'll get no rubbish facilities, no waste facilities, and no water facilities. And then you kind of ask yourself the question, well, if you have to move your boat every 2 weeks to go and fill up your water tank, just move your boat every 2 weeks and do it for free. Or the other thing, of course, is if you're going to pay for winter moorings, and it's not cheap by any stretch, then you would probably be better off just biting the bullet and going and staying in a marina and having all of the facilities. So winter moorings we're not fans of. We've just managed a winter.
We've had all the snow, all the ice, the wind.
You saw that in the
previous one,
last video.
Yeah. And it's still snowing.
And if it's iced in, the CRT don't expect you to move if it's icy. If it's blowing a gale, the CRT are quite happy to, if you make a phone call to say, today I'm supposed to move, but it's blowing a gale, I can't, it's dangerous, the CRT are reasonable people.
Yeah, if it's too dangerous to move, and wind, snow, ice will be them reasons.
Yeah.
If you, as the captain of the boat, has made that risk assessment that it is too dangerous, the key thing you have to do is phone up the CRT if you're going to overstay your 14-day.
And the final question, would we have a narrowboat now we've had the chance to live on the water and experience what life is like on the water?
Yeah, I mean, we always wanted to, if we could have chosen completely, we probably would have gone for a narrowboat. I think they are a lot prettier. They're very beautiful.
They are, and people love looking at them, especially middle-aged and retired men. It's like boys and their toys. They just love.
And the historic ones.
Yeah,
are just stunning.
Stunning.
But for us, it wouldn't work. Certainly not at the moment. I've got all my painting stuff out everywhere, so we couldn't really fit into a narrowboat and work the way that we work.
And what we did was we chose a wide beam purely on the basis of we wanted to live on the canals. We couldn't live on a narrowboat because we couldn't downsize enough. The wide beam was the second best option, and it turns out that it's exactly what we wanted. It's only 11 foot by 65, so it's not the maximum.
No.
I've seen 14 foot wide boats.
And I'm so pleased it isn't any bigger than
when we were shopping. We were shopping for a 12 by 70, and actually, when you think about a lock, when I go in a lock, I've got 1.5 foot either side, so it's the same as a narrowboat going in a narrow lock as a wide beam going in a wide lock. So I've worked out now I can line the back up with the recess where the door swings in, so I know that if I stop my stern there, that I'm not going to hit the gates at the front. But
one thing I'm really pleased with, though, we've had extremely heavy, very blowy winds. If we'd been on a narrowboat, it would be moving quite a bit.
These don't move a lot, so you don't really feel it.
Much.
You can feel it, but it's not as extreme as the narrowboat. So hopefully that answers that question. Would we have a narrowboat now that we've had a chance to live on the water? And the answer to the question is right now, no. We're perfectly happy with our choice, and we love the boat that we're on.
So I think one thing we are definitely pleased of is we didn't go any bigger than this one.
Size does matter. But in this case, smaller is better. I've been telling her that for years. I'm glad it's finally sunk in.